Welcome to Where There's a Will.
There's a play.
I'm Ian, your mid complexity casual gamer.
I'm Stacey. I'm your non-gamer gamer.
And we are here today with another initial impressions, this time, of Trekking the World's second edition from Underdog Games, designed by Nick Bentley and Charlie Bink. It plays 1 to 5 players in 30 to 60 minutes. This is a review copy that was sent to us by Underdog Games.
And Trekking the World Second Edition is a strategy game where the players race around the world to amazing locations, drafting itineraries, you're collecting souvenirs, you're gaining powers along the way that you can combo and use on future turns. This is a major redesign from the first edition. And there's a lot of changes. So if you like the first edition, hopefully you'll like this one even more. And then we'll talk about some of the other things that I like about it a little later on.
Now to the components and the artwork.
So, do you want me to start with components?
Sure.
So the components, we're obviously going to start with the board. The board is very basically drawn. It's not too overwhelming or too crowded. Basically, you've got your continents and you've got your locations that you're going to be visiting.
You have a few little things on here.
Yeah, each continent, it kind of describes, kind of explains that continent. What kind of wildlife lives in those areas.
There's some penguins down in Antarctica.
Yeah, can't go without your penguins. So you've got your board. On your board, you do have your player turns and the end of game trigger. So I do like that about this board. So you don't have to have your little cards sitting in front of you. Over here, you've got your location cards. These can be a dual card with the front or the back. And we'll discuss. Are we going to discuss?
Yeah, we'll talk about that later with the gameplay, real quick.
Okay. We've got our dual layer board. This is your suitcase. This is where your tokens are going to go, and this has been totally redesigned as well. Your tokens will actually go in here, and they stay in there very nicely. And this will be your score or help you score at the end of the game. You've got your bank. You got your little wheel. This is how you keep track of your money as it comes and goes as you visit locations and earn money from your cards that you get. You've got your player token, which is a nice little chunky little wooden guy with the backpack. So he's going to be traveling around the world so that you can pick what color you want. And then you've got your cubes and your tokens that you will be using for your suitcase, and these will give you extra powers as well. Did I miss anything? The rule book?
Look at the cards, but we seem to have that frozen right now on a single card. So there's one of the cards. I'm not sure what happened.
Banff in Calgary, Alberta. Or it's not in Calgary, it's in Alberta, I guess.
There we go. It's now reconnected.
Okay.
We had some problems here, so I just wanted to show the...
Your green's not going to show.
Green's not going to show up. Give me your orange. No. Just wanted to show you the player piece. So there's the player piece. Now we can show some of the artwork on the cards.
Yeah, I absolutely love the artwork on this. I don't think I've actually come across too many artworks that I've disliked, to be honest with you. But these really resonate with the locations that they are. It's each card kind of brings out what those locations are known for.
Underdog does a great job with their art and games. All their rigging and her story just are amazing. Here's some of those are going to get a little fuzzy with the green screen because of the colors.
Yep. And then on the back of those cards, it explains about that location, and it also gives you your extra powers as well, depending on where that card comes up in the deck.
Really nice rule book. Very well laid out. So, as always with Underdog, you can see, tells you how to set everything up. Very clear, playing the game, explains what everything is. Step by step, game end, scoring. Even some facts on the back, frequently asked questions. And yeah, so that's a very good. I think we talked about everything.
I believe
tokens and
so.
everything? Yep, all right.
We're moving right along.
Setup and gameplay. To set up the game, you put your board out. Each player takes a suitcase, a money dial, and a little
Player
hiker
token.
meeple that matches their color. You place the itinerary cards. You stack them here. You put 4 here, so there are 5 face up that you can choose from. Over here, you take the location card. You split them into 2 evenly-ish numbered decks. One is face up, those will be your tour cards, which we will get into. One is face down, which is your encounters, which gives you some abilities. You place your tokens and your souvenirs over here to the side, and that's the setup. It is a really quick setup for this game. So, setup really quick and easy. We're just going to quickly run down what you do on a turn. And on your turn, you will take one of the itinerary cards, and this should still be up so I can show this. There's 3 things on here. It tells you how far you move, it tells you how much money you get, and then if you are in one of these continents, you get one of these souvenirs. So that is your turn. Um, then you discard it. So once you use it, you discard up here to the itinerary discard on your turn. Then, if you are able to, you will take a tour or an encounter. A tour gets you points at the end of the game. It costs you money to do a tour. So if we bring the Sydney Opera House back over here, you can see it cost me $7 to go to Sydney Opera House, but at the end of the game, it's going to get me 16 points. Whereas if I were to be here in the Acropolis of Athens, I can take this encounter, and at any point during the game, I can use this ability here where it says if another player has more suitcase points than you, gain 4 souvenirs of any one color. So those have a lot of different abilities. So once again, on your turn, you are taking an itinerary. You're doing the 3 things that are on it if you can. The bottom one is not always available to you. It depends on which continent you are in. Because I forgot to say at the start of the game, you choose a random airport to start in. So when you're moving between locations. So you do the 3 things on your itinerary card, and if you're able to, you will take a tour if you want, or get an encounter. You have to be on the location unless you have an encounter card, which allows you to not be on the location in order to do either of these. When you gain souvenirs, you place them in your suitcase, and you'll see on here, I can show you a little bit here. There are some little symbols on there that will bring you some extra little abilities. You grab me one of each token. No, the tokens, yep. So there are 4 different tokens in the game. The blue one is travel, and that one allows you to move from any location to an airport. Normally, you have to move from airport to airport and use one of your movements. So if I'm moving along here and I have a 3, if I move 3, I could go 1, 2, 3 to get somewhere. This token would allow me to fly from anywhere. So if I was here and I wanted to get over to the Asian continent, I could go to the Asian continent if I want to before I start my turn. So that's what this token does. The next one is the red token. And the red walk token allows me to move an extra space. So once again, if I was using this card here and I had 3 movement spaces and I went 1, 2, 3, I could use this and I can move a 4th space, and then I discard it. The next token is the money token. This one is a pretty powerful one if you can get it, because what this allows you to do is when you gain money, this allows you to gain that exact same amount of money again. So if you have one of these cards that allows you to gain $3 and you have one of those tokens, you can actually get $6 on that turn. And then the final one is this black one with the different colored cubes on it. And what this allows you to do is when you are collecting a cube on a card, you can use this and you can collect those exact same cubes a second time. So if there's 2 cubes, you can gain them a second time. That is your turn. That is it. You play until someone has gained a certain number of tour cards, which are the ones that have the artwork on them. In a 2 to player 5 player game, you go until someone has their 5th tour. In a 4 and 5 player game, you go until someone has the 4th tour. Although it does say if you want a longer game, you're more than welcome to go a little bit longer. In a 2 player game, they highly suggest going until someone has 6. It just makes the game a little bit longer. that is the
Gameplay.
gameplay. So
Pretty
it is
easy.
a fairly simple gameplay. 3 things here, and then if you can, you grab one of those. You can collect souvenirs and tiles when you are able to. Scoring. Scoring in the game comes in 3 ways. First, you get points from your tours. So you notice, as I pointed out earlier, the Sydney Opera House gets you 16 points. So every one of your tours gets you that many points. The second way you earn points is some of, here you go. So Sagrada Familia in Spain. This one has an end game scoring. It says at game's end, 12 points if you have at least $5. So if you have $5 on your wheel left, you get 12 points. There's some of them that have to do with your suitcases and stuff. The third way you score is on your suitcase. On your suitcase, for every column, you get that many points for however far you go. The further you go with having it completely filled in, the more points you're going to have. So if I were to fill in everything up to this space right here, I would get 20 points. It doesn't matter what's after it. If this is the last column that is filled in, that's how many points. So that's how you score. Your tours, your encounters that have end game scoring, and your suitcases. Those are the 3 scorings. Final thoughts. I'll let you start.
I get to start.
You get to start. I just talked about the scoring and stuff, so it's your turn.
So my final thoughts is that I like the second edition more than the first edition. They simplified it down. I like the artistic value of the cards. They're absolutely beautiful. I love that they're educational so that you can actually read about each location as you go along. It has history about it. It's got where it's located. It gives you some ideas of somewhere you might want to go for vacation, I think.
Tried to show it, but it is in a different angle on this screen. It's a different angle on the screen.
And I like the fact that they did simplify it. So for people who are non-gamer gamers, there's not as much to worry about. I don't believe as you're going around the board, because before you had these gems that you had to collect as you went through, and you had to basically.
Well, the souvenirs were out on the board.
We're on the board instead. So if the souvenir was gone off of that location, you didn't really want to go back because there's nothing to collect. For me, anyway. Other people may have seen that differently. I like the cards. I like the itineraries that you gain, and I like the encounter cards as well. It's just a fun game. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So the big, I guess before I get into my final impressions, or my final thoughts, the big changes in this is in the original version, it felt very much like a Ticket to Ride or Trekking the National Parks type game. You were drawing cards that had value for numbers and colors on them. The numbers showed you how far you could move. The colors allowed you to visit the locations. There was some extra things at the top of the board, which I don't think we ever really used. The last person, who there was a souvenir on each one of these, and the last person to take one off a continent got an extra little scoring. I didn't mind that. I thought it was a nice little thing. Okay, it's another little strategy to do that, was to like, okay, can I get over there to get that last one so I can get that extra little hidden point value. So I didn't mind that. I thought that was a good nice little strategy thing on it. And then I just lost my train of thought. You were collecting on the board. I do like the fact that the souvenirs are all over to the side instead of on the board. They have made this game totally different. This is no longer. I will say I felt like the original Trekking the World was just trekking the national parks, but around the world.
But
it was the exact same game, in my opinion. It was 90%, 95% the exact same game. You were doing the exact same thing with cards. You were collecting cards. You were collecting souvenirs as you were moving around. you were visiting locations like exactly the same way, so it just felt like the same game. This does not feel like the same game anymore. I like this game so much better. I love the itinerary cards and
Mm-hmm.
these okay, these are the three things you're doing on your itinerary, and then when you get to locations, you can collect these locations with these abilities, which I really like. These abilities are really nice. Um, I like the extra tokens on that you can collect on your suitcase with the flight token that allows you to fly from anywhere, the walk token, the money token, and the souvenir token. I love those things. The one thing that I do miss from the first version is that the souvenir tokens don't seem to have any meaning anymore. In the first edition, they were a different like one was like I don't know, like hats or whatever. It was different types of souvenirs, is what they were.
Mm.
And when someone had the majority, they got a majority card. I do miss that part of it because now they just feel like they're cubes and there's no meaning to them. But as far as the game overall, the gameplay is amazing. The one other slight change in this one is you can move through somebody else or end up on the same space as somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that they have come out and said that if you want to play like the original version where you can't move through or end on the same place as someone else,
Okay.
go for it. I don't think we have any preference one way or the other. It came into play a couple times, um, but yeah, that would be the only thing. But yeah, this game, the way they've revamped this game is a huge hit.
Mm-hmm.
It is such a better game, and it no longer feels like we just have two versions of like trekking the national
Right.
parks with the world. We now with our three trekking games have three very distinctly different games, and I really like that about it. I love this. Um, yeah, this is a great game.
One other thing that I do like about this is on the encounter cards, some of the powers that you use on your encounter cards are good during the gameplay, and some of them are only good at the end of the gameplay that you can use for scoring or
Yeah,
that you can use somebody else's power that they just used. So that is one thing that I enjoyed. I kind of screwed up on using it.
because some of them allow you to mimic somebody else and
Yeah.
some of their things, and you just got to be pay attention. But we got it to the table once so far, so it's just
Mm-hmm.
you know
But I like it.
it's good. I
Yeah.
can see this one. I'm also very excited. I will say I'm very excited that there's a solo mode to this now because now when we get it out, I will probably get a solo game in hopefully of it. And there's a little expansion in there, a little bucket list expansion, which I'm excited to check
Mm-hmm.
out. So all of those things, yeah, I give this one two thumbs up.
Me too.
This is a great game. This is a more dynamic game than the original one. This one feels like a different game in the trekking
Mm-hmm.
line instead of just a reskinned national parks traveling around the world and doing the exact same things. I like I said, I really like these itinerary cards. This do this, and this if you can. And I love the fact that this bottom one is you only get that if you can because before it felt like okay, you're racing to try and get the tokens. Now you're like, okay, I have to be in the right location to get the tokens as
Mm-hmm.
well. So I love this game. This one definitely is taking the place of the original.
Mm-hmm.
The original is getting gifted to a co-teacher of mine. But yeah, I like this one.
Yeah, at first edition, when Ian would say, "Hey, do you want to play Trekking the World?" I'd be like, "Okay." Um, I'd play it, but I didn't really get excited about playing it. This one, because it's changed so much and I enjoy it more, it's educational. The first one was still educational,
They
so it
were,
had some
yeah,
stuff on there. But this is educational. It moves quickly.
it does. Two-player
Um,
game, it was very
it
quick. It
moved
was
very
very quick.
quickly. Um, and this one I
And
will
you know what? I
actually,
think it was an hour,
yeah,
but it felt
probably.
like it was quick, and
But
that
for
was the
me,
first
an
time
hour
playing
is
it.
a long time.
But it felt
But
quick.
it did feel quicker than that. But this one, I will probably say, hey, do you want to get Trekking to the World to the table? I never ever said that once with the first edition.
I think I think it's because honestly, like if it were between trekking the national parks first edition and trekking and the world first edition, I think we'd rather go travel the national parks because it's places we've been, and I think we liked
Mm,
that one just a little bit better. It was the same thing, but I mean, there was same. But yeah, this
Yeah.
love this game. It'll be interesting to see where our underdog games rank against each other when we start doing some series things in the new year. It'll be really interesting to see where things rank. But
yeah.
Yep, I like this one.
Yep.
It's
Two
a good
thumbs
one.
up. I do, and again, I do like that it has the player turn on the board.
Yep.
And the end game trigger
And
on
they
the
do
board
have,
as well.
and I had them out, and I don't know where they
have
went.
the cards.
I don't know where they went.
So that each player can have a card if they're sitting on the opposite side of the board.
Everybody gets a player aid, which is always a bonus.
Yeah, we forgot about that in game components.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2 thumbs up.
All right. If you like this video and want to see more, please hit that subscribe button up above. And if you want to see the rest of our initial impressions, you can follow that link. Once again, this has been Where There's a Wills.
There's a play.
I'm Ian.
I'm Stacey.
And we'll see you next time
At the table.